to part 2. We are talking to Ben Moekwa. Our anchor is Boniwe Dunster. Boniwe, over to you. Continue with part 2 of our show.
Great stuff. Thank you so much, Sam. And to our listeners who have joined us this evening, you are on COMETSA Radio Worldwide. My name is Boniwe Dunster. I am your anchor for this show this evening, and I am joined in a virtual studio by Mr. Ben Moekwa. A reminder that he is a lecturer of Biotechnology and Chemistry and Work-Integrated Learning Co-Ordinator at the WIL University of Technology. And this is our second and last segment of this conversation. And just a reminder that you are more than welcome to send us through your comments via our WhatsApp line questions, and we will be more than happy to engage you on those. Ben, as we continue, sir, on our conversation with regards to your portfolio at the university and the multiple hats and roles that you play, you have painted a beautiful picture for us, for our listeners who just joined in, around your background, around your portfolio, and how does the whole work-integrated learning, department work. Just to actually, take the conversation to the next level, can you just explain to us, how does the whole, sorry, excuse me, how does the whole work-integrated, learning, works hand in hand with cooperative, education within the Center of, academic development with the various mentors and supervisors that we have? And how does the whole completion of, a logbook, once somebody has completed their learning opportunities with their P1s and P2s, what happens and what are the multiple, stakeholders that really gets involved in this particular, stage of the journey?
Okay. All right. Now, thanks, Boniwe. The cooperative education is the one that is responsible for placement of the student. So we work hand in hand with the cooperative education, and cooperative education is part of the CAD, which is Center for Academic and Development. That center is responsible for developing both student and academics. So cooperative education, they are the ones that places students. They go all out to the companies, negotiate with companies for our students, sign the memorandum of understanding with companies, and then also negotiate how many students they can take and all those things. That's exactly what they do, and we work hand in hand with them. And once then they got the companies, they tell us that this is the company that we have negotiated with. It is the first time that they will be taking students. So you, as the WIL coordinator, can you please just go and check with the company if whether the company meets your minimum requirements for giving training to the students. And then we, as the WIL coordinators in different faculties, all the faculties, we then go and sanction the company and say, now we are happy with what the company has. We believe that the company will be able to offer the training to the students. And then they can then send the students to those companies to do their work-integrated learning.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you so much. So if we, now that the students are into this program, maybe they have completed, or maybe some of them are actually getting to, to start their work integrated learning opportunities, or, experience at a particular institution or a working company. What are the typical challenges that the students, really struggle with in the beginning? And what kind of support do you provide to them to mitigate those challenges?
Okay. So what happens is in most cases the challenges that we initially had was lack of enough companies. But I think that has been sorted out, and thanks to cooperative education under the leadership of Annie, who has made sure that we get enough companies. Okay. The challenges that usually you will find or that student will struggle with, firstly, it's Even though we try our best to orientate them, which is also the responsibility of co-op that orientates the student while they are on campus, to say that when you are placed, what you need to do is to register. It is important that you register within the first month of getting an appointment in the company. Why is it important for the students to register? It is that the student need to register so that the university know, because as the university, we also have the responsibility to make sure that these students are insured, because they are still our students. So we want to deal with that part so that the students are insured and the university knows where they are. In an event that there is a problem, then the university is able to intervene and come into their rescue. So one of the problems is you find that the students are owing the university. Now, when the students are owing the university, they are finance blocked. Now, the students will have difficulty in registering. So some of the challenge that we find is when the students have that difficulty in registering, instead of them having to come to us as WIL coordinators or to co-op to say that I have a challenge of registering because I'm finance blocked, they stay. And now what in fact is supposed to happen is if they are finance blocked, they cannot register. They can then, we as the WIL coordinators will then ask co-op to say that we have this student who has the challenge. Can you please then try and go to credit management and try and speak with credit management so that the student can sign an agreement, an acknowledgement of debt. Once the student signed the acknowledgement of debt, then the student will then be able to register. So that is the challenge that we find ourselves in. And the other challenge when they are in the company, it's the transition from being a student now to being an employee. That transition, okay. Yes, that is the common one that we find. But also what we then did as the WIL coordinators in collaboration with co-op. This is the project that co-op is running. We run a work readiness program where we try and prepare the students before they go out for the training. We sit with them, give them a little bit of a training. What is it that is expected from the students in the world of work, how to cope in the world of work. So we ran that with Edwin, with the assistant of Dr. Mletsale. So we're trying to assist in that part.
Oh, okay, cool. I want to go back to the point that you made mention. I think I actually have a couple of questions based on what you have just elaborated right now. And the first one is around, the registering within the first month of being, appointed in an organization, or the first month of having to start with your work-integrated learning. What happens if a student doesn't register within that first month? Because you did say that some of the challenges that they face is the transition of from being a student into an employee, and you find that somebody might innocently forget about it, or they might have missed it somewhere that they actually need to register, and they realize after probably their third month or probably at the end of their P1. Do you still then allow them to register?
Yes, we still allow the students to register. The other part probably that which we need to emphasize is the registration for work-integrated learning is opened the whole year. Unlike for your normal first year, second year, where we have a once of registration that happens in the beginning of the year. But for the work-integrated learning, it happens throughout the year. The only difference is that we have the cycles. So the students who registered from the 1st of October, okay, from the 1st of October to the 31st of March, those students will usually fall under the first cycle or the semester 1. So what does it mean? It means that students who have registered during this period, we can only capture their marks at the end of the first semester. So the system will open for us to capture their marks at the end of the semester. But that does not mean that even if they've started in February, they must submit in June. They must submit at the end of their 6 months training. By the time their 6 months training, when we submit their marks to the examination section, they will be able to enter them. And all those who will then register between the 1st of April to the the 31st of September. Those students will then fall under the second semester or the second cycle. So the system will open for us to capture the mark at the end of the second semester. So if the student then delays in registering, you find probably that delay will then push the students to go into the second semester. So instead of us capturing the marks at the first semester, we'll then capture the marks at the end of the second semester. So that also extend their stay on campus.
And I would assume that also would have then an impact in terms of when they graduate. Am I correct?
Yes, that will have the impact. That will have the impact on the graduation. So if the student then we're supposed to capture the mark at the end of the second semester, but the student registered late, and now the system only opens us to enter the marks at the end of the first semester. So that student cannot graduate during the April graduation, will then have to graduate during the September graduation. So you can see that it has delayed the students.
Okay, all right. Okay. So I think that is very important, and I think students need to be made aware actually throughout, from first year, second year, so that I think it lands somehow, because it's very critical. Because like I said, if you're a student, you're just going with the flow, you're happy, you're away from home, you've got your independence. So I think maybe having to make mention of that from first year up until their final year of studies could actually, help a great deal and help majority of the students to also graduate, on time. And then you also made mention of, student fees and the blockage of registration. Is it possible, or is it something that has been done to say maybe if you are blocked to register because of outstanding fees, can an exception be made, right, for the institution to still be able to register, the work integrated learning, opportunity, so that the students don't actually then get to that point of having to register it late because of outstanding fees? How flexible is the university around that? And what are the other alternatives if one does indeed have, large outstanding fees?
Okay. Remember, we don't want to see students not graduating. We want to see students graduating so that they can go out there and help the family. So the university is very flexible. Once the student acknowledges the debt, he signs the acknowledgement of debt, and then the university will then open the system. But the student needs to service the debt. They will then tell the university that I can manage probably to pay 200 rand a month or 1,000 rand a month. As long as you are servicing your debt, you will be allowed to register once you have signed the acknowledgement of debt.
Okay, cool. All right, that's good, because I think in every challenge that we face, we're always looking, for creative solutions to maybe to lessen, the burden and the frustrations on the students. Now, moving on to the employer, right? I would actually now like us to really get to engage around, the employers or these organizations or companies, that really afford these opportunities to our students. So normally when you go and, visit the institutions, of course, to provide support to the students, to find out how they are doing, and, just to try to bridge the gap in terms of any challenges that they may, face. What is your experience in your interactions with the employers and the supervisors when you actually go there and you're on your first visit? What is your sense and feel, and what is what are the themes that you get, from different employers?
Okay. the first thing that probably the employer will be concerned about is the transition. That the students are struggling with the transition, but I think we are working on that part with co-op from being a student to now being an employee. In most cases, what the employers or the purpose of this visits to the companies and to get in to interact with the mentors, the supervisors, is to also check or see where our students are lacking. Remember, as when we teach these students, there are topics that we might not be covering, or topics that we might not be going deeper into them. Now, the feedback that we get from these employers or these mentors to say that we think that your students probably are lacking when coming to GLP, good laboratory practice, then we take note of that. Or your students are lacking in polymer science, because we're not teaching polymer science, we're just giving them the basic of the polymer. We then have to sit as the department to say, this is the feedback that we got from the company, that they would have loved us to at least come introduce the polymer into our students. Where can we introduce it? At what level can we introduce it? In which section of chemistry should they be the ones that will be introducing this type of the requests? So that's what we usually get. And those feedback that we get as the department, when we are at our curriculum meeting, we try and look at them and try and see on how we can then filter those concerns and try to address them when we are doing the recalculation. So in most cases, I think the feedback that we get is always very pleasing.
Okay, that's great. I want to digress a bit, and maybe this might be a little bit of an unfair, question to you. And yeah, apologies in advance. So, given the feedback that you often get from the organizations that you visit, and especially if maybe they talk to you, who's an expert in a particular field, such as maybe like chemistry and biotechnology. Do you guys by any chance get to do any amendments to the curriculum based on the feedback that you get from the institutions? Given that, as South Africa as a country, we're always looking at opportunities of how to bridge the gap between the theory at university and the practicals, because some of the employers would often say, we see students struggling to transition into the workplace because they are expecting what they learned to be applied as it was taught to them in class. But of course, when you come to the practical side, how things happen, it's very much, different. So do you by any chance, incorporate anything or amend the curriculum to a certain extent, or maybe even make recommendations probably to the Department of Higher Education around amendments of the curriculum?
What we do, remember we as the department, we also have our meeting where we sit to look at the curriculum. We say those are the recurriculum meeting where we look at our the curriculum. We incorporate it and the feedback that we get from the company. What we do is we also have what we call the industry advisory meeting. We invite the industries in our department, okay? And then we engage them in the presence of the colleagues in the department, because remember, I am the one who engage with them in most cases. Now I invite them to campus to say, can you guys come to campus? Can we then discuss the feedback that we've been giving and all that, the suggestion that we've been making that this particular topic you need. So when we do, when we're looking at the curriculum, in most cases, we incorporate what the industry says that they are lacking, or we look at the curriculum to say, but this, we are teaching it in class. Why are the company complaining about this, that which we are teaching? For instance, we had the company which was complaining about the calculations. To to say that your students are struggling with calculations, especially when they're dealing with the solid samples, converting the solid to the liquid, and when they had to do the calculation to get them to give us the results. We then had to say, but we are also teaching this. Probably we need to look at how we're teaching it and come up with a new ways of making sure that the students understand it better, and or probably give them more of the examples so that they can get used to calculation, different ways of calculation, so that at least that cannot happen. It cannot be something that is recurring when we are going into companies. For instance, we also had a complaint on the good laboratory practice, which, remember, as somebody who is going to be working or who's working in the laboratory, and somebody says your laboratory practice or your laboratory ethics are not good, it's not good. So we had to sit and make sure that we come up with a solution to that, to say every year before the students start with their practicals, we need to take them through the safety. We need to take them through the good laboratory practice, that we don't eat the laboratory practice, how we don't go to work with sandless and all those things. So we are incorporating all these concerns that the department or the industries are raising. That is why we have the industry advisory meeting, so that we are able to incorporate all their concerns.
Oh, great. I think that's actually wonderful, to see such a good and smooth collaboration between different parties, all to the interest of the student. It's actually quite, encouraging, for us as people that are in different professions, and also, parents as well, and, the listeners that we have. And for those of you who just joined us this evening, you are on COMETSA Radio Worldwide. My name is Boniwe Dunster. I am your anchor for this show, and we are joined in studio by Ben Moekwa, who is a lecturer for biotechnology and chemistry and a work-integrated learning coordinator at the VUL University of Technology. We still welcome your comments and your messages and questions from our WhatsApp line. Please feel free to pop them in so that we can have a meaningful conversation with you as our listeners. So, Ben, just tell me, like, as I just painted a picture to the listeners that joined us now, that you're actually wearing, both hats, being a lecturer and being a work-integrated learning coordinator. So, does every lecturer, automatically become a, work-integrated learning coordinator, or is it only specific, lecturers, or each faculty or each program nominates a number of lecturers to also participate in the WIL programs?
Yes. What's happening here is I am the lecturer and the WIL coordinator in the department, under the chemistry division. So we have both biochemistry, and we have the biotechnology, chemistry. We also have the agricultural management. So there is the WIL coordinator for agricultural management. There is a WIL coordinator for biotechnology. There is a WIL coordinator for chemistry. So I am the WIL coordinator for chemistry. So
Okay.
yes, but I also teach. I also have the modules that I teach. So in the chemistry division, I am the one who is responsible for WIL, and I'm assisted by Dr. Fumusom Chachini. So I am the one who said, given that now the number of students that we are getting are many, and there are lots of companies that are involved, so we need to. I need to get some assistance in an event that I'm not on campus. I'm out on industry visit. Somebody should be able to assist the students who are doing the walk-ins into the company, who needs the assistance from the WIL coordinator.
Oh, okay. No, great stuff. Thank you for that. And then what is then the relationship between the students and the various lecturers that they have during their WIL learning opportunities at different companies? Do they freely, engage with their lecturers at any given point in time? Do they reach out to them as well as support? Do they keep the relationship going as well? Or do they really have to only limit, their interaction with the university with the work-integrated learning coordinators?
Yes, what is happening is we don't stop students from talking to lecturers or seeking some advices from lecturers. But anything that has to do with WIL, it is centered around the WIL coordinator. In that case, it makes it easy for the department to deal with the problems, because this is one person who will be able to know the problems that are there if there are problems. So he is the one who will be able to deal with it. And even co-op is there. But if something that they need to check or ask their lecturers over, because they have a relationship with the lecturers, they've been interacting with them for the past 2 years. So we are not stopping them to engage with them, or even if they want to ask the lecturers to say, I'm busy with this project, I'm struggling when it comes to probably this topic here or this and this in the project, can you please assist? We don't have a problem. They can then ask anybody to assist in the department, as long as they know that when coming to the issue of submission, the issue of approving the registration, the companies, they know that they're dealing with the WIL coordinator.
Okay, great stuff. Because I do think that sometimes, students, they also do connect with different people at different stages. And you'd also want to actually give them the freedom of having to engage with people that you trust, like obviously the various lectures that could be there for them, especially when you find your WIL coordinators being maybe inundated. I'm sure you also sometimes have an influx of emails or requests for support that you cannot, be able to respond to at that point in time. Great. So tell me, do you believe that how the WIL University of Technology has implemented their work-integrated learning? Would you say that the way that they have implemented it and they continue to, to maintain and make changes, would you say that, you would rate it as being, as being successful? And if that is the case, what is it that you guys are doing which is different from other institutions?
Yes. Look, I believe that we are doing very well with WIL. Given that, remember, WIL is compulsory because it's part of the qualification. So for them to get a qualification, they must go through it. We are doing very well, because I think the credit should go to cooperative education. Because remember, we just had COVID-19. Some companies have shut down, some companies have downsized, but cooperative education, they have made sure that they get funding. They get funding to say to the companies that they cannot afford to give students stipend, to say that you take our students, you train them, you put them under you subject them to your company policies, who will then assist you by giving the student the stipend, because you might find that the student probably is from Sebokeng, but is doing the in-service somewhere in Middelburg. So that student might need accommodation there. So that stipend also helps the students, at least, to survive during the period of their training. And some students will be saying, what I need, I understand that WIL, it's part of the curriculum. I'm still a student, so I'm even prepared to volunteer. So the volunteering, lots of companies, they don't like it, because it is not going to be right when at the end of the month, your colleagues are celebrating that they got something and you don't have anything. So co-op came in handy. They are working with lots of sitters. They are the ones who are funding the students during their work-integrated learning. So we don't have lots of backlog of the students who needs the training. In fact, in most cases, it's us who will be sending the messages to Facebook to say, students, could you please, those who need an in-service training, we have the company that is looking for students. Can you please submit your documents at Co-op so that we can place you? I think we were doing extremely well.
Do you then sometimes find that, do you find a lot of organizations doing that? Maybe you're not in partnership or in collaboration with them, but they actually just come to the university and say, hey, VUL University of Technology, we know that you're good in engineering or you're good in this particular faculty or program. Do some of them just come forward without having a relationship with you or without you being the first one to approach them?
Yes, we have lots of companies that are approaching us. A lot of companies have approached us to say that we are a company, which probably we are an international company. The international company just had a branch in Joburg or somewhere. So we would have loved to also take some students because we have heard about you. Some people in other companies talking good about you. Can we also be getting some students? What is it that you require? Trying to build the relationship with us. We always welcome them, and we always support. We go with them. We call students to say, okay, if you want to address students, you can call the students for you. We give you the lecture hall. You speak to the students. What is it that you want from the student? What is it, your expectations and all those things? So there are lots of companies, and we are really grateful about that.
All right, great stuff. Thank you. Back to the question again around, the success of the work-integrated learning programs. So which key performance indicators do you use, to determine the success or, areas of improvement for the implementation of the, work-integrated learning programs within the faculty and general and at the university level as well?
Yes. Most of our students, once they are done with their work-integrated learning, lots of companies have absorbed them. They have absorbed them. They are now working. I was speaking to one MD of the company who was telling me last week on Friday to say, Ben, do you know that 30 people in my company, they are all your graduates? From engineering, chemistry, and biotechnology. So that's how we measure it, by the company retaining our students at the end of their training. And when you go out visiting companies, most of them, they are our students. And we have made sure that the relationship that we have built over the years with different companies, we maintain that relationship, we respect it. That's why when there's a problem, we are always there to try and make sure that it is sorted.
Okay, no, that is actually quite great. If there was anything that you would want, to improve based on your experience or based on, the feedback that you receive both from the students and from the organizations, what is it that you would want to improve or you guys, doing better off?
Yeah. One of the improvement which I was talking to the HOD, I was saying to the HOD that remember, most of our instruments are 5 years old. And now when the students, they go out into these companies, they get the new instrument, the state of the art. Now, probably I would have loved us as the department, though we cannot compete with the industries, to try and acquire as many new analytical instruments as possible, so that it is when they go out there, the student, at least it is not going to be the first time, or they will then be trying to praise the instrument that they are being exposed to say, oh, by the way, the HPLC that we have there at our institution is 3 years old now. We just got the new instrument from this company has just acquired the new instrument. It can do both 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3. Instead of us using one on campus, we use 2 different instruments. But the technique is the same. The principle behind the technique becomes the same. And the other thing that which I would have loved us maybe to can do more on it. It is, remember at VUT, we have students who are from other parts of the Africa. So the problem that we have is companies, other companies, they are not keen in taking students who are not citizens. So in that case, is what I would have loved us to improve on is to try and build, to have the relationship with the embassies of these different countries, so that when we have the students from those countries, then the embassies assist us with placing or getting companies for us in those countries, so that at least we know that when the students are done, when they go back into their country, they can go there with the support of their embassies to can finish their qualification.
Yeah, I think that is quite important and a very good thinking and recommendation, because I remember at a time that I was also a student there, most of the students that we studied in, especially those from Botswana, Lesotho, and Namibia, and the likes, right? They actually had to go complete their in-service training, as we would commonly say it, right, back at their home countries, right? And even if they were to apply like locally, they wouldn't. But on the other hand, you'd find that some of them were actually sponsored by their respective governments, and there would be an expectation for them to also go back, to give back to their own countries. So I think it's just, having to balance, the dynamics of each, individual and their home country.
Yes, yeah. Even though that the students that we have in Swaziland, we have managed to build a relationship with companies in Swaziland. We have managed to build a relationship with companies in Botswana, in Lesotho. But you find that they are not as many as in South Africa. So we also go and visit, and when we are there, if there's other new companies, we also try to approach them and to say, guys, this is who we are, and this is what we are doing. Could you please assist us in taking some of the students? So it is these neighboring ones in the SADC region, we have managed to get, but the one in the north, it has always been a problem.
Yeah, okay. I guess we will get there. There is progress. So listening to what you're telling me right now and to when I was there so many years ago, not revealing my age again, I think there has been good, progress made in that regard. I know we are, nearing the end, but for those that have just joined us, you are listening to COMETSA Radio Worldwide, and my name is Boniwe Dunster. I am your anchor for the show, and we are joined by Ben Moekwa, who is a lecturer and a WIL coordinator at the WIL University of Technology. So, Ben, you earlier also mentioned that obviously some of the challenges that you might actually face within the WIL department, it's also lack of, companies. Sometimes you find that maybe you might have an oversupply of students and maybe you don't have enough, companies, but you did say that there has been an improvement, in that regard. So if you do have a chance in this particular moment, maybe our listeners, they're working in various, companies, and they're also looking to partner with the WIL University of Technology. So which streams or, which faculties do you think or do you believe they are in more need, of companies to absorb more students? Do you also see, a vast, difference between different faculties like engineering, management, science, and humanities? So where is your biggest need, and which industries would you like to bring more on board so that we can accommodate a large number of students that we have that are in need of those learning opportunities?
In the Faculty of the Applied and Computer Sciences, we have how many departments? I think we have 4 departments. We have the Department of Biotechnology and Chemistry, the Health Sciences, Information and Communication Technology, Mathematics, Non-Destructive Testing, Physics and Environment. So if we can get the companies within the IT sector, so that they can take our students who are in the information technology, the students or the companies that are doing non-destructive testing. I see there are a lot of companies as you drive in the highway, you will see cars written non-destructive testing. So we would like those companies to come on board to try and assist and take some of our students who are doing the NDT, the industries that in the mining industries, because they all have the laboratories, they all need the HR, they all need the finance, people in the finance and all those things. The mining industries, the pulp and paper industries, the polymer industries, your water and sewage treatment, even your ESCOMs, because we also we offer the electricities, we have the chemical engineering, the civil people in the civil engineering, they would know that even those earth-moving machines, our students who are doing civil engineering, they would be really of help in those companies. The FMCG, fast-moving consumable goods, those companies, they can also take students, try and help by offering students a work-integrated learning. And even people in the hotels, VUT also, we offer what we call hospitality. There is also tourism, ecotourism, tourism students. So we are a very big university, and all these departments and faculties that I've mentioned, they all have WIL. So it is important that all these companies, they come on board. We promise that we'll give them good students of high quality. We have faith in our students, and we know that they will behave. They are not going to be a problem. That is why there are companies that we have been working with them for years, and they are still working with us even today.
Great stuff. Ben, thank you so much. It has indeed been a great conversation with you. I have actually learned quite a lot. As much as I am a product of the work-integrated learning, I think there is more to the program than actually, meets the eye. And you have actually made it sound so easy, so simple, and I think the fact that you've also made mention of all the benefits and all the services that you do offer as a department or as a function within the VUT University of Technology, it's very much, commendable. And I would actually want, to see a lot of people benefiting from such initiatives in the university, so that we can actually get to up the number of graduates that we get from the institution. So just in closing, right? What is it that you would want, to see happening in the faculties and in the different programs that you have at the university to be able to implement the work-integrated learning programs better and effectively to the benefits of the student? What is it that you would want to see happening, or you want to see the faculties and the different programs start doing, from first year up until the third year? What would you say to those?
Yes. What I would like the university or the different departments in the university to do, it is to support the students, especially those who are in the work-integrated learning, to constantly visit the students in the industries, to make sure that the relationship that we have built over the years with these industries is not tainted. And whenever the companies have problems with our student, or they have questions about the processes that we are, those things, and but let's give them the support, and let's make sure that we talk about this WIL. Even our first year students and say that the qualification that we have chosen, it requires a WIL, a 6 month or a 12 months WIL. So in the meantime, because remember, some of these students, they have families or brothers who are working in this industry. If they talk to them that our university, they can also give you the students as a company so that you train them. They might even come handy. Their brothers might even approach us to say that, we did not know that you can give us the students. Now at least we know through our daughter or our son that you guys can give us students. I think we need to talk about it, even where we are. Even if it is outside the VUT, we need to talk about it when we meet our friends, when we're in these parties with our friends. Thank you.
Great stuff. And what has been the highlight to you with this conversation that we've had in the last 2 hours? Anything that stood out for you, or any, aha moment that you actually experienced during this conversation?
Look, Boniwe, this you are a PR person. PR people, they are usually the ones who they are good at talking. So these interviews or these discussions that I've been having with you, it was not easy. But to me, it was a learning curve, especially the questions that you have been asking. They opened up my eyes to say that there are some of the things that we are taking it for granted, but they are very much important, especially when you've been asking for clarity to try and say that, clarify this. What do you mean by saying this? That no, we need to do more. And I hope that it is not the last time that COMETSA give us the platform to share about work-integrated learning.
Okay, great stuff. And how do students get hold of your office should they need to actually engage with you beyond this point?
The student can send me an email at benm@vut.ac.za or contact me. My office number is 016-950-9667.
Oh, great. And is there a specific time if they actually want maybe to call or to come, or would you prefer them just maybe to send an email and take it from there?
Depending, they must not come on campus on Monday and Friday, because if they come on Monday, they're extending the weekend. If they are coming on a Friday, that means they're extending. So I don't encourage students to visit on Monday and Friday. It is not a good thing to do as a student. So your reputation as a student, it's not going to be good to your prospective employer. So at any time during Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or if they are given off on Friday or Monday, we are always on campus. But unfortunately, on Friday, in most cases, you might find that by 2 o'clock, many of us have already knocked off. If they send emails, we always respond to emails. If I'm not available, the HOD is always there. Professor Joe Modise. His email is joe@vut.ac.za, or they can also send an email to komotsom@vut.ac.za. So we'll be able to assist in an event that there is something that needs me. They will always give me a call through my cell phone so that I can come in and help the students.
Great stuff. Ben, it has been a great pleasure conversing with you today, and I really thoroughly enjoyed our conversations. I hope our listeners are also, learning and have learned quite a lot, and they have enjoyed the conversation as much as I did. As I said, this is COMETSA Radio Worldwide, and it has been a great pleasure. And thank you for allowing me into your homes and having to actually anchor this show up until this particular minute. I'm going to hand over now to our moderator, that is Tsima, and thank you once more.
Wow, thank you so much, Boniwe and Ben. And then, of course, let's appreciate the effort by Tabo, who could not connect, load shedding and many other reasons made difficult. Not only Tabo, but many of our listeners have been struggling to log in. And therefore, I want to remind people that the podcast will be available. You can get it at COMETSARadioPodcast.com, or you just go straight to COMETSA website, www.cometa-goc.com, and you will be able to listen and download the podcast. Thank you once again, colleagues. It's been wonderful. This was a great last session of the year. And let me also thank the team at VUT and then of COMETSA that supports us all the time in putting together this comprehensive conversation. This was the 6th edition, and it was focusing on work-integrated learning by the faculty coordinators of the WIL. And then, of course, the reminder that this show takes place on the last Wednesday of every month, with the exception of the month of December and the month of January. You can tell now that we are going on a recess, but we'll be back in February with the 2024 editions. It started with the launch, which was in June, followed by edition 2 in July. Edition 3 was in August. Edition 4 was in September. Edition 5 was in October. So it's been quite a great journey. We are glad that we have people like Boniwe and many others who are the human capital development, management and leadership specialists who come in and volunteer their facilitation capabilities, as you have experienced it today. And to all the members of COMETSA, we say, come forward, volunteer yourself. We are going to give a support from next year, February, through a weekly program that will be focusing on developing digital online streaming mastery so that we can have many people partnering with us in supporting the Valley University of Technology in their big mission of building a bridge between the academic world and the world of work. That was COMETSA Radio Worldwide, the mind, the journey, the destiny. We apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. The show is based on the principle called the idea. We inform and entertain, develop and educate, empower and support, associate and network. That's the idea. May I say Merry Christmas to you, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's a bit early, but that's because this was the last show of the Valley University of Technology Student Academic Development Support and Work-Integrated Learning Show. Thank you so much. Goodbye, Boniwe and Ben. But stay in the studio while we are actually disconnecting with our listeners. Goodbye.